Good morning. Welcome to our joint service between the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany and the UU Congregation of Saratoga Springs. My name is Reverend Sam Trumbore. Before we begin, please check your microphone to make sure it is muted. The same for your camera if your image is potentially a little distracting. Please also be mindful of your speech while you are on Zoom because microphones have this mysterious way of accidentally getting unmuted. This will minimize any disruption of our service. You also notice closed captioning at the bottom of your screen. If you'd like to turn that off, or if you don't see it and like to turn it on, find the CC option on your Zoom toolbar and select the up arrow to change that option. Thanks so much for your cooperation. Now is a time of transition from ordinary time to sacred time. Time to check in with your body, to collect your attention, to be present in this moment. Let this moment be separated from yesterday and tomorrow. May this virtual space become a sanctuary for the next hour. Allow your screen to transform into a virtual worship space, to experience images, sounds, and music, songs, poetry, and prose that will lift your heart, broaden your mind, and move you to do justice in the world in the service of building beloved community. May this virtual space be holy time for each of us that joins us together in the celebration of life. And our prelude this morning is Thank You for Being a Friend by Andrew Gold, and Elena Karpov will be performing it for us.
As I share the words of Betsy Dar, who's a member of the UU Society of San Francisco this morning for our chalice lighting, I invite you to join with Jim and Faye Mahuda in lighting a chalice or candle of your own. The flame that lights your chalice is a symbol of and connected to the love, faith, and hope that guide our Unitarian Universalist communities. May the light of this chalice give light and warmth to our communities when we are joyful and when we despair. And may we feel the warmth spread from our circle to wider and wider circles until all know they belong to the one circle of life. With mics closed but mouths open, let's join with Elena Karpov in singing our opening hymn, The Sweet June Days Are Come Again.
Happy summer day. Good morning. I'm Leah Purcell, the Director of Religious Education and Family Ministry at the Unitarian Universalist Society of Albany. Presenting the service with me today are Elizabeth Baldus, the Religious Education Program Coordinator at Albany UU, Reverend Sam Trumbore, the Minister at Albany UU, and Reverend Joe Cleveland, the Minister of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Saratoga Springs. We are here to celebrate this year's religious education program. This year, our program was online the whole year. Unlike March of 2020, when we suddenly had to go online, we had time over the summer to make plans for the year. But though Elizabeth and I had years of experience doing religious education, we were suddenly novices. Hosting religious education for children and youth online was unprecedented. We had to figure out how to do everything in new ways. And we didn't have people with expertise we could turn to because none of our colleagues had ever done this before either. Still, we were all in it together. Elizabeth and I found lots of resources to help us. We learned by experimenting, and we had some very dedicated RE guides who volunteered to work with the children and youth for the year. Though our goals shifted a bit, we still wanted the same things for our children and youth this year that we have always wanted: for them to believe in themselves and feel a part of a religious community, to have opportunities to practice empathy and compassion, to learn about justice and equality, to know that they can make a difference in the world, and to have some fun in our gatherings. Still, and understandably, early on, we found that not as many families wanted to participate in the program as in a normal year. When I contacted the missing families, nearly all of them told me that they appreciated all of our efforts, but they would wait until we could meet in person. Of course, we supported them in making the best decisions they could for their families. As it turned out, though our enrollment this year was lower than in a normal year, the attendance rate was higher. Those who did participate became very dedicated about coming on Sunday mornings. And Elizabeth and I decided early on that if we had to be on Zoom, we would use it to our best advantage. For example, since we were on Zoom, we were able to have RE start later in the morning. So we started at 11:30. We learned that, especially during pandemics, apparently, many children like to sleep in on Sunday mornings. They could even bring breakfast to their screens. With Zoom, kids were able to show us their toys and their pets. We played scavenger hunts. With a later start time, the RE volunteers didn't have to miss out on the 10 o'clock adult services. Because we were online, nobody had to travel. We never had to worry about the weather, so no announcements about snow days. Being on Zoom meant it didn't matter how far away from the building you lived. And so the Albany congregation was able to include the families of the Saratoga Springs congregation in its RE program this year. And next, we'll hear from the minister of Saratoga Springs, Reverend Joe.
Thank you, Leah. Quarantining for the COVID pandemic threw everything into a loop last year, but where we were most affected as a congregation was in our religious exploration program And one of the silver linings of going online, though, was that we could collaborate even easier with other congregations. And so we joined together with Albany UU for RE. That Albany UU could open to including Saratoga in their RE ministry was a real gift. Partnering with a congregation more than twice our size and with a full staff meant that opportunities were open to us and our children and youth that we never could have managed on our own. Thanks to you, our children and youth had access to more programming than ever before. And while few of our families were able to participate because we were limited to being online, for those who did, RE became a real can't-miss part of their lives. I also heard from adult after adult how much they appreciated not just the wisdom stories that Leah recorded for our services, but the approach to them, the approach to storytelling. Harder to notice, but even more significant, is the contribution to the congregation as a whole, simply because that leg of the stool was in such good hands. Leah and Elizabeth and all the RE volunteers, you offered care and love to our children and ministered to our whole congregation. As we look ahead to the fall, even as we hope to hire a new RE staff person for UU Saratoga, we hope that in many ways our RE collaboration with Albany will be able to continue. So Albany UU, please receive the blessings and thanks of your sibling congregation to the north. And Leah and Elizabeth, please be sure to check your mailboxes at the Albany Meeting House this week for a token of our appreciation by way of Northshire Bookstore.
Thank you. It took a second there to get unmuted. As Leah mentioned, this year's religious education program for the Albany and Saratoga preschool through fifth graders took place entirely online. Sunday mornings at 11:30, I worked as the Zoom technician while Leah Purcell led our group through a short online family chapel, sharing the week's story, a breathing exercise or other activity, and checking in on our joys and sorrows. Afterwards, there were small group meetings for discussion and activities related to the story. While it was certainly different in some ways than our usual in-person Sunday mornings, we made connection and community our highest priorities so that the children and the adults in this RE community would still feel like they were part of something bigger than themselves. The kids were split into a preschool through first grade group and a second through fifth grade group. It was not long before we acclimated to the online format and had a core group of dedicated participants. In the following video, Jennifer Bergen, the mom of two boys in our grade 2 to 5 group, speaks a little bit about her family's experience.
I'm Jennifer Birkin, and we are some of the newer participants in RE education at UU. One of the things we love best about the RE is the immediate sense of community that we felt as soon as we joined. My kids even commented on that. And personally, just for me as a parent, I think my favorite part of RE is the storytelling about gender, race, and culture in such a simple and fundamental way that the kids can really understand and become engaged, and then listen and share their opinions. And they don't even know that they're learning really valuable lessons at the same time. So it's been a wonderful experience, and I think a lot of talented people are involved, and we're very appreciative as a family. Thank you, everyone.
How wonderful. Thank you, Jen, for submitting that. And we have all been so glad to have Ben and Rowan in the group this year. The other groups meeting on Zoom after 11:30 Family Chapel were grade 6 and 7 Crossing Paths group and grade 8 Book Club. The 8th grade book club was a brand new innovation this year, where the guides and youth read graphic novels featuring the experiences of people subject to discrimination and deep inequity. In the words of one of the 4 amazing guides from this group, the graphic novels we've read have told us stories of desperation and hope. We've seen great tragedy and violence too, and each of us have shared our thoughts about institutional racism, hatred, and fear. Within these stories, we have learned about the struggles of life in places all over the world. These stories often show how hard and harsh life can be, but we've also read about and seen through the artist's eyes how beauty and hope continues to rise, and how people all over the world need family, love, and understanding. Even if we don't understand why, we see a little of ourselves in every character. Meanwhile, our grade 6 and 7 youth were learning all about world religions in their Crossing Paths group. For 4 weeks, the group would focus on a religion, such as Christianity, evangelical, Quakerism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, or Judaism, culminating in a virtual visit to a religious service and an interview with someone of that faith. In this video, the parents of one of our Crossing Paths participants from the Saratoga congregation talks a little bit about their experience.
Hi, I'm Jean Coulis,
And I'm Joel Koulis.
and our son Griffin took part in this year's Crossing Paths program. He really enjoyed attending this year, and thankfully via Zoom, he was able to get together with a group of kids his own age and, with other families that share the same values that we do.
He also enjoyed the opportunity to learn about so many of the world's religions. That's a kind of exposure and experience that Jean and I did not have when we were growing up. And so we're glad that he had that opportunity, that he had the opportunity to ask questions of people of different faiths and actually get to explore what was interesting to him about those religions. So for all those reasons, we're really glad he had the chance to do RE this year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeannie and Joel. We've had fun getting to know Griffin this year. While the success of the religious education program partially rests on the organizational and supportive work of Leah and myself, the real achievements are those of our amazing volunteers. We are so blessed to have a group of creative, dedicated, and hardworking adults serving the children and youth of Albany and Saratoga. We honestly could not have done any of this without them, and we are so incredibly grateful for their time, effort, and goodwill. We asked them to do something unusual and a little bit difficult, and they did a great job. As the mom of 2 kids in the program, as well as the RE coordinator, I am more than doubly grateful for all that these wonderful guide teams have accomplished this year. The online community they nurtured enabled our children and youth to learn and grow and stay connected to their UU identity despite the challenges of the pandemic year. So to all of you, I say thank you on behalf of all the families you served this year. Here is a short video identifying these fabulous folks and expressing the sentiments of our Albany UU children and youth. And so we say thank you. Maybe we could have a round of applause.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, it was certainly a hard year for our high school youth. The pandemic happened at a time that is very formulative in their lives. We held a small but successful online coming of age program, thanks to some very dedicated mentors in the congregation. Next week, 3 of our Albany UU youth will present their belief statements. So you'll hear more about coming of age next week. We also offered online meetings for the high school youth group. During the summer and into the fall, Tracy Hickey, Albany UU's lead youth advisor, and I met with the youth on Google Hangout. We had check-ins, watched a movie, played online games. We kept the Google chat open for youth to post things whenever they wanted. And though it seemed like they longed to have connections, by midwinter, it was apparent that having more online meetings on top of all their schoolwork and their classes was just not working for them. And then this spring, hallelujah, they were able to get their COVID vaccinations. After missing out on all of their end of the year celebrations last year, the floodgates of invitations to gatherings and parties opened. Some of the youth suddenly had sports practice every night. And so though we tried, between the schedules of the youth, Tracy, and a volunteer, we weren't able to find a time for the youth to gather in person this spring. But I talked to Tracy, and she is going to be continuing at Albany UU, and she's going to work on getting the youth from last year and from the program of 2019-2020 for a gathering in Washington Park, hopefully next month or sometime during the summer, because it would be nice for the younger members of the group to say goodbye to the Bridgers, those youth who have completed our RE program. Between the youth who have finished the group last year and those who are finishing this year, we have 14 young people bridging. Some have been coming to Albany UU on Sunday mornings since they were babies, some since they were young children, some came when they were older, and some started even as high schoolers. But the culture of our RE program, especially youth culture, is to be inclusive. Youth are invited to come as they are, and many have said that youth group is the one place where they can truly be themselves and be in covenant with their peers. We often talk about RE in our congregations as lifespan, something in place that connects you to Unitarian Universalism and gives you a road to follow throughout your life. But we know there is a gap between our programs for children and youth and the things we offer for adults. And it's the same in the broader world. We often talk about a gap year after high school. In our religious communities, though, we set aside time to mark this milestone by creating a bridge for young people to move from youth group to the adult community. In a normal year, we do this physically by putting a little bridge on our stage. The Bridgers and the rest of youth group are on one side and they say goodbye to each other, usually with hugs and laughter and maybe a few tears. And then the congregation forms an arch by holding up their hands together along the aisles for the Bridgers to run through. The last part of the arch is held up by the children, so the Bridgers have to duck down low before arriving back at the front of the hall to the waiting arms of young adults in the congregation. But as we're on Zoom this year, we're making the most of this platform. To start our bridging ceremony, in a moment you'll see a slideshow of the Bridgers while Reverend Joe performs a song. You may not know all these people, but I hope that you can connect with them through their photos. And so, as you see them, I hope that you have in mind what you wish for them going forward. And so now we're ready for that video.
We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. I am alone. I am searching, hungering for answers in my time. I am balanced at the brink of wisdom. I'm impatient to receive a sign. I move forward with my senses open. Imperfection, it be my crime. In humility, I will listen. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power, some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. On this journey through thoughts and feelings, binding intuition, my head, my heart, I am gathering the tools together. I'm preparing to do my part. All of those who have come before me band together and be my guide. Loving lessons that I will follow. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. When we get there, we'll discover all of the gifts we've been given to share have been with us since life's beginning, and we never noticed they were there. We can balance at the brink of wisdom, never recognizing that we've arrived. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great big dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power, some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. We're all swimming to the other side.
Thank you, Reverend Joe. And so in a moment, I'm going to ask you to share your thoughts, your good wishes for these bridgers. What would you wish for them? What would you say to them as they are crossing the bridge to the adult community? Because we're on Zoom, we have a way to share these wishes. I invite you to put your good wishes into the chat now. You'll have a few minutes, and I'll read as many as I can aloud. What are your wishes? that you will continue to be a source of their growth and development. Be true to yourself. Have courage. That you form new communities. Love and compassion are your guides. Don't lose the sense of wonder and don't forget to dance. Always watch for the rainbows in life. Don't lose your innocence. Know that you have a spiritual community that will always support you. You continue to be peacemakers. Remember, you can find friends at the local UU. Stay grounded in your UU values and stay creative and energetic as you are now. Continue to shine. Embrace the change. Know we will be the wind beneath your wings. Be the change you want to see in the world. Listen first. Be brave to yourself. Love will always be with you, and you will always have a home here. Live, love, and laugh often. Your voice matters. You continue to make a positive impact on the world. You have lots of kindred spirits in the world. Go find them. Never give up, no matter how difficult the trials. Always love and stay connected to your communities. Dance to your own music. Remember, you are always enough. Know that we love you and wish you only the best as you move forward in your foundation of UU. Look for the sparkling moments in life. No matter how high the mountain might be, just keep climbing. Have fun and joy on your new adventures. Open minds and hearts. Keep questioning assumptions. Engage challenges and step into the unknown. You can make a difference. And then there's a message from Marietta saying, I wish you all the very best and that you stay connected to each other and this community and know that you are cared about. Thank you, Marietta, longtime RE guide. Be brave and speak your mind to be the leaders you can be. You are so much stronger than you think you are, especially after this past year. Good luck. Remember, you've got us. When it's hard, ask for help. You have everything you need inside you. Embrace and share your gifts. And so we'll keep the chat open, but I'm going to close with this poem. It's called Beyond Borders by Rick Hoyt. Go forth, leave behind the comfort and community of one place, head into the anxiety and loneliness of another. Carry with you the love and laughter of this place and let it light your way. Carry with you the wisdom you have learned and may the good memories give you strength for your journey. And when you have been away long enough, far enough, done what you've set off to do, been there so long that this place too starts to feel like home, come back. Come back to the one universal everywhere and every when and everyone inclusive home, this beloved community of all creation that you can never really leave. Thank you. And next we'll hear from Reverend Sam.
Oh. Seeing and hearing these testimonials and messages just now just warms my heart. I was reflecting on some of these youth who I did child dedications for. It's moving to see them grow up and become who they are. Well, I think all of us know by now that this is Leah's last year as our Director of Religious Education and Family Ministry. Her service with us will end this month. Be sure to come to her party, if you can, this coming Saturday, and you can see windows for more details. This can be a little awkward because she isn't moving away or taking another job. She will remain in town, but will be stepping away from our congregation for a while. She will refrain from involvement in our religious education activities and participation in our congregational life. This is a best practice recommended by the Liberal Religious Education Directors Association when leaving a position of employment. Though she plans to refrain from posting or commenting on Albany UU members' Facebook timelines, you may still encounter her on social media or in a store. If you do see her after June 30th, please be friendly, of course, as you normally would, but please also refrain from asking for her advice or comments about our religious education program. She will be professionally bound not to respond. So, what are we going to do without her? Well, we do have a plan. First, and most important, next year, Elizabeth Valdez, who worked with us this year as our part-time religious education coordinator, will serve as our acting religious education director starting July 1st. For the next year, she will keep our program together as we decide what is next for our education program. We were already experimenting, as you heard, with RE for All and dealing with a pandemic by doing everything on Zoom. As we start to return to being in person again, we need to assess how we want to go forward with our program this fall and beyond this fall. That work is happening right now and will continue over the summer. Stay tuned for more in August and September. We expect a slow, phased-in start with some programming, probably starting in October. Now, things are a little more complicated for Elizabeth. She also runs a nursery school. She will not be giving that up as we decide what we want our RE program to be. That will mean she will be doing 20 hours a week, as she does now. To assist her, we will be hiring a 10-hour-a-week RE assistant to start in August and work till June. This is a time of transition for her to decide what she wants to do, just as our congregation is assessing where we want to go. There's another twist to the story. When a long-serving religious professional leaves, it is appropriate to do an interim assessment process to reflect on the history and heritage of our program, assess the current state of the program and its values and identity, then finally to do vision work about where we want the program to go. This assessment will be for all ages, not just children and youth. We will assess adult education offerings as well. These 3 assessments will be done in September, October, and November. Who will organize and lead this? We have accepted a proposal by Dr. Michelle Grove, who is a credentialed RE interim. She will work as our consultant on this specific work. She will also work with Elizabeth Valdez, mentoring her as she grows into the role of RE director. Based on a negotiation process and the work we do together in the 3 programs listed in the last paragraph, Elizabeth will decide if she wants to apply to be the kind of RE director we envision for our congregation as we move forward. This is a time of transition and change as we say goodbye to Leah and hello to Elizabeth for our coming program year. There is strong interest in our membership to be together in person and resume much of our activity from before the pandemic. Today, though, we just don't know what kind of programming we'll have in the fall for our children and youth. And we don't know what our congregational vision for the 22-23 program year either. With Dr. Grove's professional guidance, I have great confidence we can come through this transition time ready for growth and development for the benefit of our members and friends and for the future of our congregation. May it be so.
Good morning. I am Kathy Harris. I am the Service Associate today. An important way we celebrate life each Sunday is by offering an opportunity to practice generosity. Members and friends support our congregations with an annual pledge paid throughout the year. Another way to support the good work of your congregation is by making a generous contribution via one of the options shown on these next two slides, one for AUU and one for Saratoga UU. You can click on the tiny URL in the chat window to contribute, or you can send a text to the number shown on the screen. The examples on the slide show how to label your text to indicate the amount and purpose or intent of your gift. Our offertory music today is Your Song by Elton John and Bernie Taupin, and our musician is Elena Karpoff.
So we welcome, this is a time set aside in our service for sharing significant personal milestones in our lives. There are three ways to share a joy or sorrow. The first option is to type your joy or sorrow in the chat window. Please put the words "read aloud" at the beginning of your message if you would like us to read it. Please also consider connecting privately in the chat with a pastoral care associate. You may identify the ones on duty today in the participant window. Look for PCA before their names. Today, Donna Meixner and I, Randy Rosette, are serving. The second option is to click the raise hand symbol found either in the participant window or under the reactions button. Our technician will invite you to unmute yourself and speak your joy or sorrow. The third option is to submit a joy or sorrow using our website by noon on Friday prior to the service. We'll begin by reading those that were submitted this past week. Then we'll hear the spoken joy or sorrows, followed by the chat entries that are to be read aloud.
I have no pre-submitted ones, so we will start with Nancy Wagner. Nancy, go ahead and unmute and share your joy or sorrow.
Hello, I'm Nancy Wagner, and right now life is coming at me fast and furious. Dave and I just returned from a trip to Indianapolis with the visit with some of my cousins and got to see my cousin's grandkids and my niece, and it was very lovely to hug each other again. Next Saturday is Dave and my 50th wedding anniversary. We will not be around because unfortunately, when we got back from Indiana, we got a call from Ohio saying that Dave's stepmother, Floretta Wagner, had died, and we'll be going to her service this next week. Thanks.
There is a read aloud in the chat.
Chris, are there any more in Anybody else with their raised hands? If not, I'll go on.
No, I don't see anybody else with a hand.
Thank you. So Nancy Willie Schiff says that her joy is that Thayer Heath celebrated her 98th birthday yesterday and is doing great. Meredith Andrews says that her aunt, Judy Hansen, has had a stroke and is at Sunnyview Rehab now. If you would like to visit or get in touch, call her daughter Kathy at 518-514-8666. Elizabeth Baldus says that her joy is having worked for 3 wonderful years with Leah Purcell. And her sorrow is that very soon we'll be spending less time together. She is a dream. Elizabeth Berberian says that her brother, Ed, and sister-in-law are coming to visit Tuesday, our first visit in nearly 2 years. And Leah Purcell says, thank you, Elizabeth. We have made a great team. Thanks to all the staff and volunteers these past 14 years. And that is all I see. For all the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken, let us hold all that we've heard and felt in our hearts.
For our prayer of affirmation, I have these words by Donna Markova. Let us turn inward to receive them. They say a child is born a blank slate to be molded, a tabula rasa to be written upon. But children come like a plant with a rhizome, its food source, a genetic coding for what flower it will become, how often it will bear fruit, what its artistry is, all of that born into it with the seed. The role of the gardener, then, is simply to discern the manner of the plant or child trying to emerge. The role of the gardener or parent, then, is simply to ask, how do I help? Help it grow into what it is in its roots. So be it. And may we grow together. And let us sing this last song, When the Summer Sun is Shining. And Elena will lead us.
Please join with me in saying the words of Elizabeth Sell Jones that both of our congregations use at the end of the services and that you will find shared on your screen in the following video. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. For all who see God, may God go with you. For all who love life, may life return your embrace. For all who seek a right path, may a way be found, and the courage to take it day by day.
And our thanks today to the Chalice Lighters, Faye and Jim Mahuda, the testimonials from Jennifer Birkin and Jeannie and Joel Kulas. Our musicians today, Elena Karpoff and the Reverend Joe Cleveland. Our pastoral care associates today were Randy Rosette and Donna Meixner. I'm the service associate, Kathy Harris, and our ushers were Tammy Hathaway, Chuck Manning, Monica Pfluger, Jean Poppy. Our welcomer was Barb Manning, Technical support from Chris Jensen, with office support from Elizabeth Baldus and Tammy Hathaway. Thank you. In terms of announcements, to receive our newsletter via email, contact Tammy Hathaway at admin@albanyuu.org. To receive UU Saratoga news via email, please visit https://uusaratoga.org welcome UU. Stay on after the service for informal coffee hour and conversation. This is a multi-generational service, and there will be no religious education for all at 11:30 today. If you have not RSVP'd for Leah's retirement party, please email Tammy Hathaway at admin@albanyuu.org. UU Saratoga's outdoor flower communion is Saturday, June 12th at 4 o'clock at High Rock Park in Saratoga Springs. Bring a flower and bring a chair. And UU Saratoga service next Sunday morning, June 3rd at 10 a.m. includes an important congregational visiting activity, Creating the Future. Thank you.